Good morning, everybody. Finishing up. Thought I would wait until after my workout this morning so I could show you the beautiful sunrise. Hard to see in the video, but trust me, it's gorgeous. So, I know we were talking about the triad, and we will go back to the triad for sure. But, as we finished up Keith's seminar, I told you the story about the lawyer that said the difference between a good lawyer and a great lawyer is the great lawyer gets out of town. And, Keith said something at the end of his seminar, and I love it that he's still teaching. There's such a wealth of wisdom and experience in people like that. And sometimes people get to a certain point in their life and they just walk away. And I get it. They're entitled. They certainly don't owe anybody anything. But when they decide to continue to share their wisdom, I mean, I think that's amazing because let's face it, the people with the best lives have made the best choices. And the best way to make the best choices is to avoid mistakes. Well, mistakes come from experience. And if you can harness other people's experience and avoid mistakes and make better choices, you're going to have a better life. It's that simple. Well, one of the things Keith said at the end is he said, if you want to do better, you got to be better. And I mean, I think if you want to have a wonderful life, you've got to commit to a lifetime of growth. I mean, as we've said, you're either growing or you're dying. I mean, there's nothing in between. And I don't know about you, but I love learning. I loved being in school. I didn't love that I didn't have any income and I couldn't do anything, but I loved being in the classroom and learning. And learning is growing. And I think if you commit to a lifetime of learning and growing, if you constantly read, if you're constantly doing seminars, if you're constantly doing the next thing, then not only are you going to be happy, but you're going to be successful because you're going to figure out new distinctions. You're going to figure out where things are going. I mean, let's face it, the only consistent thing is change. I love a lot of things about Tony Robbins, but one of the things I love about him is he's never done. He never stops. He keeps going and he keeps going. It's always, how can we make it better? How can we do it better? I mean, his UPW seminar, he's been doing that seminar 40 years, but he's always still like, how can we improve it? How can we make it better? There was an amazing man who lived in my hometown who I got to consider a mentor for a period of time. His name was Don Morris, and he was incredibly successful entrepreneur, but he was also just an incredible person. Everybody looked up to this guy, but when you were around him, he was humble and he was grateful. And when he passed away suddenly, and he was in his 70s. And it was funny because everybody was so surprised at how old he was, and that wasn't necessarily because of what he'd accomplished or any of those things. It was because he was always still doing the next thing. Don was always headed towards, what's the next thing? He had conquered the electrical business, and then he had conquered being a conglomerate where he had multiple companies, and then he moved into horses, and then he moved into windmills. And it was always like, what's Don going to do? He's going to do the next thing. What's that going to be? And we were proud as a town that he was from here. And the greatest thing that Don did is he committed to a life of learning and growing. And he was always looking for, where am I headed next? In a good way. I'm going to appreciate what I have, but what am I doing next? What's the next level for me? So if you want to live a better life, then you got to be able to have better choices. Better choices come from experience. And if you want to do better, then you got to be better. You got to commit to improving yourself always. Then you're going to create better outcomes. Then you're going to make better choices. And let's face it, the people who make better choices have better lives. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.